Okay, good evening and welcome to a discussion with Tim Parker and Freddy Garrett, both candidates for Putnam County Property Appraiser. This is a universal election, which means that everybody, regardless of party, can vote on it, even though it's occurring during the primary election. And I'm very, very happy that both of the candidates are here. I think we should have a good evening. All right, let's begin with just a little bit of self-introduction, who you are, uh, what you've done, and how your professional career has prepared you to do a term or a new term in the office. Tim, why don't you lead off?
Sure, I'd be glad to. My name is Tim Parker. My wife, Melanie, and I have been married for 33 years this December. My daughter, Lauren, is a student at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and her husband is as well. I have another daughter, Brooke, who's in Orlando. She's a licensed mental health counselor. And my son, Seth, is a minister at First Baptist Church here in Palatka. All three are graduates of Putnam County Schools. So right after graduating college at Stetson University, where I majored in finance, I started working for a savings and loan where I learned some valuable lessons. I then joined Letcher County Property Appraiser's office in 1986 as an appraiser. From 1990 to 1998, as an appraiser with the state of Florida, I had to appraise complex residential and commercial and industrial property in several different counties across North Florida. In 1998, I came to Putnam County as Director of Real Property Assessments at the request of Larry Pritchett, who was the property appraiser at the time, and later became Chief Deputy in 2005. Shortly after coming to Putnam County, I obtained my state certified general real estate appraiser's license. This license allows me to appraise any type of property in the state of Florida. Why is that important? When our values are challenged, the first thing that is looked at is my credentials and my education. About 30% of our Putnam County tax base is in 10 taxpayers, and that percentage will only climb. Those taxpayers need to know that I have the education and expertise to defend our values so that they will pay their fair share, just like the rest of the citizens of Putnam County. I am either currently involved with or have been involved with the Kiwanis Club of the Azalea City, where if you ever played varsity football or were a cheerleader at Palatka High School within the last 20 years, I helped serve you breakfast on game days. I served in many positions in that organization, including being a distinguished past president. I'm on the board of directors of the Melrose Business and Community Association, a member of the South Historic Neighborhood Association, a deacon at First Baptist, a board member at the Roadhaver Boys Ranch, district chairman of the Boy Scouts of America, United Way, Habitat for Humanity, chairman of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, a Putnam County Recreation Department coach, and a volunteer at Hope FM during Share-a-thon. Although I already am the Putnam County Property Appraiser, I never take that for granted. I know that every 4 years I have to run for office and rely on the citizens of Putnam County to tell me if I'm doing a good job or not. I want to continue serving as your Putnam County Property Appraiser because not only do I love my job, I love Putnam County and the people of Putnam County and feel that I am best qualified person to do the job. All property appraisers across the state of Florida are audited every year. We just finished our audit this year very successfully, and we proved that we are fair and honest in our appraisal process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Okay, Freddy?
Uh, Thank you for having this forum. I think it's a great way for us to be able to tell the Democratic Party and others about each other. I have been married to my wife, Susan, for 20 years. I was born and raised in St. Augustine. I have 3 sons. My oldest son, Brett's a mechanic in Jacksonville. Andrew is on staff at Tampa General, where he's Assistant Director of Strategic Planning, having his master's in public health. My son Jeffrey is a real estate agent in Miami, and I have 4 grandsons. After coming out of the Air Force in 1975, I was offered a position with Security First Federal, which is a savings loan that used to be out in Azalea Plaza in that little modular building, which is where I started my appraisal career. One of the things that happened during that process is, back at that time, having military experience or being a veteran was a big deal. When I came out of high school, I had a choice. I had a couple of scholarship offers that I just did not feel like it was fair to my parents to put that burden on them to have extra expenses for me to go to school when the Air Force was a great opportunity for me. So that being said, after coming out, I went to work for Security First Federal, where they sent me to school to become an appraiser. I took course 1A in Tampa, Florida, 2 years, and then course 1B, later getting licensed. And so for 10 years, up until 1985, I have an additional 10 years experience than my opponent. I had been out in the field appraising condos, duplexes, light industrial, commercial buildings. I was even part of the appraisal process of the TPC golf course in Ponte Vedra and all of the Marsh Landing Golf and Country Club at that time. Prior to coming to Palatka, I had been working for St. Johns County for 11 years. I moved to Palatka not for a job. I moved here because I wanted to be here. We spent a lot of time on the river. My parents had lived here for over 30 years. They were getting a little bit older. So the first year I was here, I drove back and forth to St. Johns County. When a job offer came up here, a job opening came up, I applied for it and was successful at getting it. I took a pretty serious pay cut to come to work here and started as a review appraiser, got promoted later to residential manager. So as you can see, my experience spans back to 1975. I'm a chairman of the Deacons at Duns Creek Baptist Church. I'm a member of the Palatka Sunrise Rotary Club, the Palatka Yacht Club. I volunteer frequently at the Bread of Life because I have a need philosophically and biblically to serve other people. I also volunteer for Feed the Need. And not only do I volunteer, I contribute financially to both of those entities. I feel like experience-wise, it's not even close. I'm the most experienced for this job. I have been on the field more than anybody that's out there. Thus, I feel like the vote should go to me. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go back to Tim because Tim, you've been in the office for a number of years, and you, by virtue of having been there, defined what the office does. Just describe quickly what it is that the property appraiser's office does so we can all have a common background. And then we'll go into how do you think that you can use that office in the next few years to help with the improvement of Putnam County.
Sure. The property appraiser is an elected county officer as established by Article 8 of the Constitution of the State of Florida. Their duty is to determine the value of all property within the county, including improved and vacant property, tangible personal property. Personal property is property used in business, things like chairs, desks, computers, could be solar panels, even bulldozers. And agricultural property is also appraised by our office. We follow Florida statutes and Department of Revenue rules. The property appraiser is also responsible for maintaining property ownership records and parcel ownership maps, and for administering tax exemptions such as homestead exemption, widowers exemptions, exemptions for blind persons, veterans exemptions and discounts, disability exemptions, and nonprofit exemptions. The property appraiser's office is not a division or a department of the Board of County Commissioners. Their authority comes from the Florida Constitution. The Florida Department of Revenue is charged with the oversight of the property appraiser's operations and performs biennial in-depth audits of the integrity of valuations. The property appraiser does not create value. We follow Florida statutes and arrive at just value by following those statutes. The property appraiser does not set tax rates, nor do they have the authority or power to reduce or raise the amount of tax which is owed on a particular property. The tax rates which are levied against property are determined annually by several different taxing authorities. Add to that any charges that you may have for drainage or road maintenance or improvements, and also add the solid waste. So how do I envision improving Putnam County? One of the greatest honors of any profession is to be recognized by your peers. I have been endorsed by the Northeast Florida Association of Realtors. My college degree, Bachelor of Business Administration from Stetson University, majoring in finance, gives me a strong foundation for leadership. Over 30 years of appraisal experience on a government level, with over 20 of those years in a supervisory role in Putnam County, made me qualified to lead. I was recently selected as the president of the Property Appraisers Association of Florida, where I have been leading our association through a very difficult and unprecedented time in history. Since 2008, I've been preparing budgets that have to be approved by the state of Florida Department of Revenue. During my time in office, Putnam County has been in the top 10 most efficient counties in the state of Florida on a budget per parcel basis. In addition to this accomplishment, I was able to reduce my budget this coming year. I'm also on the Certified Florida Appraisers Admissions Certification Committee with the state of Florida. My leadership capabilities show in the fact that we consistently pass state audits, not only on the state of Florida Department of Revenue level, but also audits as required by the Auditor General of the state of Florida. I say all of this to let you know that I have proven to be both fair and honest by the agencies that audit our office. County government can rely on me to establish and defend our values so that they can set budgets and know that they can rely on the expertise and the experience of the person responsible for those values. As I stated before, over 30% of our tax base is in 10 taxpayers. Having the education, credentials, and experience to value these properties is critical to moving Putnam forward. The first thing that an attorney asks you before you go to trial is, what is your education and what are your credentials? Having the education and experience and credentials is critical to defend our values so that everyone pulls their weight equally. I have never lost a Value Adjustment Board case. The Value Adjustment Board is comprised of educated, diverse, and experienced individuals that represent a cross-section of our county. Our county VAB members represent an extremely broad experience and high levels of combined education. They are very professional in their judgments. Thank you.
Okay, just one clarification. When you talk about values, you're talking specifically about appraised values.
That's correct.
Okay, Freddie, you've worked at another assessor's office, property assessor's office. You've brought experience here. How do you envision the job, and what would you do to help use that job to improve Putnam County?
Well, you know, the uniqueness of the property appraiser in any county is, number one, they're really not, it's not required to have a college degree. Secondly is the state certified appraiser's license is really good when you appraise outside. I've defended in front of magistrates. I've defended in front of value adjustment boards. I've defended in court. I have my credentials have never one time been questioned. While I was there, I saw some inequities. One of the reasons I'm running is I saw values that are out of balance. There's some unlevel balancing of those, and they have to be brought in line with which to help enhance the overall budget for the county and which to enhance overall value. The property appraiser's office is part of a local government that people really don't see or hear very often. They don't realize that it's there, except when they're paying their tax bill or they get a trim notice. But the job is really, it's crucial to the county. The person in that job has to set value on every piece of property in the county and do that in a way that lets the owners of the property know that they're being dealt with fairly and equitably. It takes a person with a strong sense of fair play. It's a fine line to walk, and I've been doing it for more than 15 years in the government arena and 45 years overall government outside, and I owned my own business prior to.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you a chance to get a drink of water because I'm going to ask the next question, starting with you, Freddie. For decades, I'm sorry, the wrong question. What are the major challenges that you feel that this office faces, and how would you address them?
In my 4.5 years there, I saw a number of challenges that are basically constrained within the office. There's some things that need to be improved, in my opinion. The first thing is we have to level the playing field as far as assessments overall. There's And when you work for two different property appraisers over 15 years, as I have, you get a sense of what works and what doesn't. I've seen something here that needs adjusting. Just to be specific, customer service is a big issue for me. My customer service team will treat customers with dignity. I will always have someone available to explain the details. And I'm not just talking about repeating rules and regulations. I'm suggesting that we genuinely listen to the people and we talk to them in ways that they will understand. Because typically, they don't really know what we do. One of the biggest questions on the campaign trail that I've had is, number one, who's the property appraiser? And number two is, what does the property appraiser's office actually do? And when I start going into that, and we did a Facebook video that was really nothing but what it did, we found out that the majority of the public have no idea what the property appraiser's office does. Got to be fixed.
Okay. All right, Tim, to you, what do you see as the major challenges for the office, and how would you go about addressing them?
So hiring qualified individual is one major challenge for our office. Yet more than half of our employees have over 10 years of experience and several have over 30 years. We have a very low turnover rate, and those that we do hire are able to provide excellent customer service. While I love living here in Putnam County and have raised my family here, not everyone looking from the outside sees the beauty and potential of Putnam County. On the bottom of our property appraiser's homepage, we have a Chamber of Commerce video highlighting the best Putnam County has to offer. I could lower my standards related to requiring my supervisors to live in Putnam County and allow them to live elsewhere. However, I do not intend to do so. I cannot arbitrarily hand out raises or reallocate money to give bonuses to employees. Our budget has strict oversight by the Department of Revenue, and I can only give raises when the state of Florida does so. The county, or if I perform a salary survey and hire a consultant to do that. Making sure that we are assessing property at fair and honest value gives our county the ability to give cost of living adjustment raises, which we have done for the past 2 years. Another challenge our office faces is having to rely on the county to provide for IT services. Serious budget constraints hamper that department that we rely heavily on. We could allocate resources and increase our budget to compensate for these shortfalls. Instead, we try to work around those deficiencies and still provide the excellent level of service the public has come to expect. This means that we have to work harder and become smarter every day. We have to be efficient with the resources we have. We have to look for ways to save money and be good stewards. So it's amazing, isn't it, how something we cannot even see has affected every one of us, COVID-19. That term is right up there with 9/11 as far as name recognition goes, and we have not seen the end of it yet. We have maintained staffing to meet all your needs during this pandemic, and we are able to social distance to stay healthy and available. We instituted online homestead filing to better serve you. Our vehicles have readily identifiable markings to let you know who and where to call if you question why we are on a property. Our field staff meet every homeowner wearing a mask, and our office staff are able to converse through shields, which were constructed with donated labor. Due to a Placa City ordinance, we have a limited supply of masks available to the public visiting our office. How will COVID-19 affect our economy? We had one of the strongest years in real estate in 2019, and we have had in recent years in Putnam County. Even in this crisis, some businesses are doing well and some are never going to recover. What will happen to the value of my property? That is one of the areas that people are concerned about on the campaign trail. Knowing what is going on locally, throughout my campaign, I have been transparent on where my funds have been spent. I tried to spend them locally and with small businesses, trying to help people who have suffered the most. Of the almost $14,000 spent on my campaign, less than $20 has been spent outside Putnam County. I have found what I need locally to run a successful campaign.
Okay, thank you, Tim. and let you get a drink of water before I come back to you with the next question. The situation in Putnam County is that Florida likes rankings in all sorts of ways, and whether it's health, quality of life, education, medium income, the growth in the tax base, Putnam is ranked pretty low, and some places next to the bottom. The property tax or the property assessor is very constrained by the law in terms of what it is that you can do officially in your office to implement the constitutional requirements. But what is it that you think you can add to the pursuit of ways to improve that quality of life? Who would you influence with data? How would you talk to them? What kinds of advice would you give relative to addressing property value issues, either positively or negatively?
Sure. Mary Garcia, along with her co-workers, work tirelessly within our health department to educate and help our citizens be the best they can be related to their health. While about 11% of our tests come back positive for COVID-19 locally, the state percentage is higher. When she has to announce another death related to the virus, you can tell that it is out of genuine grief and concern for the victim as well as their family. Mary is a regular attendee at our LOGIC, which stands for Local Government in Collaboration meetings, where she shares her successes and challenges. I have been privileged to share with her employees about the amendments that are on the ballot and how it may affect them and the citizens of the state of Florida. As I attend food distribution events around our county on Fourth Fridays in Interlochen at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, at St. Monica's Catholic Church each Thursday in Palaca, and at South Putnam Church in Crescent City, I find caring people willing to share their time and efforts to help the citizens of our county meet their hunger needs. While at the events, I ask those individuals if they own their own property and if they are aware of all the exemptions and discounts that are available to them. These savings can help them stay in their home and utilize their savings for food or medicine. The school board superintendent also attends the LOGIC meetings, sharing their challenges and concerns. As a member of the Kiwanis Club of the Azalea City, children are priority one. Through that organization, we have given out tens of thousands of dollars of scholarships to graduating seniors, cash awards to middle schoolers who maintain straight A's, and over 20,000 terrific kid awards. We also sponsor Every Child a Swimmer for young children. We provide apples for teachers and have helped with the Baby Brain Builders program. Allowing my staff to also participate in that organization helps the children in our community. I take the time to inform our citizens about amendments that affect them. In November, Amendment 2 will be on the ballot. This was placed there by Citizens Initiative, meaning that enough signatures were gathered to get this issue to a point where the citizens of the state of Florida can vote on raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour by September 2026. Knowing about exemptions that are allowed within Florida statutes is very important to the citizens of Putnam County. I was instrumental in providing guidance to the taxing authorities as it relates to our super senior exemption adopted by the county and every municipality and town in Putnam County. Having that exemption in place is a claim very few counties in the state can make. The senior exemption is for those individuals who have homestead exemption, are over the age 65, and have a limited income. The super senior exemption is for those individuals listed above and who have lived in their home for 25 years and whose home value is under $250,000. Just within this past week, I was able to save an individual over $900 on their tax bill, helping them sign up for the super senior exemption. Growth in our tax base lies indirectly in the hands of your county commissioners. When a company adds to their existing operation or builds something new, the value placed on it depends on how much the tax base will grow. That being said, companies that are currently located here or new ones coming in directly affect our tax base. Having someone in the office that has extensive knowledge in commercial and industrial valuations is critical to the growth of our tax base. Having the education, credentials, and expertise to defend those valuations is essential to the growth of Putnam County.
Okay, thank you. Freddie, do I need to repeat the question for you, or are you good?
Yeah, go ahead. That was a long answer, so I need to
It
have it
was a long
refreshed.
question too. It starts off with the fact that Putnam County has ranked low in healthcare, or quality of life is the way the Robert Wood Johnson's Foundation puts it, K-12 education, median family income, and growth in its tax base. Under your leadership, what could you do within the constraints that the state puts on you on what you're supposed to do? What can you do to help improve these rankings? Uh, and you can be as creative as you want within what the law lets you do.
Uh, Well, I agree with you. Putnam County has experienced some serious long-term problems, some by our making and some by not. But I think one of the things that we have to do that, as my time as a review appraiser, uh, we have to get a better balance and more fair and equitability in overall assessments. When we do that, the tax base will change. I believe wholeheartedly in exemptions and the like, and I believe that we have to do two things. If we're going to get people up to where they're in somewhat of a middle class status, we have to balance out the values, where if we balance them out and bring them up accordingly within state guidelines and within sales data that we have for the previous year, those people not only will be able to get a full homestead, because a lot of them right now, the values are down in the 19, 20s, 25, they're not even getting a full homestead. So if we can get those up to 25 to 30 by increasing, average age and that kind of thing, which is part of the appraisal process, not only will they be getting full homestead, but that will allow them to borrow money on their homes. That'll allow them to improve them. And if they improve them, the tax base is automatically going to go up. The other thing we have to do is we have to work hard to improve salaries for people within the county government. Yes, they've had a cost of living raise last couple of years, but the previous 8, they didn't have anything. And if I look at the budgets, we gave back money to the county every year. That can be, you can say that's fiscally sound, but are you doing it at the expense of your employees? I have an issue with that. So we have to find a way, and we have to work our budget. To me, if we're returning money and not giving raises, not making sure we have the tools for these people to work, they're going to leave at some point. They're going to get tired of working for that lower salary. I was fortunate that I have a wife that has a really good job. When I came over here, I was able to work, and it didn't hurt me that much. And then I worked myself up where I made a little bit more money. The average field deputy in St. Johns County makes $58,000 to $63,000 a year. They got educated by that office. We're not close to that. So we have to work harder for our employees, not just in the property appraiser's office, but countywide. We have to do a better job so we can keep them. And if we need to go outside and get some quality employees that we can have here, we need to be able to do that. And if we don't have the salaries to that level, and our properties are not higher up to that level, they're not going to come. So it's going to make it more difficult if we forget and don't work hard to do those two things, which eventually is going to help the overall budget of the county.
Okay, thank you. I'll let you get a drink of water, because the next question is going to come back to you. The problem with alternating. Okay. And this one's almost off the wall, but way back in the last century, law enforcement was given many tasks dealing with maintaining society, the loss of social services, mental health services, hospitalization, mental health institutions and rehabilitation centers and the like, so that there are more challenges available on the street for the police officers to have to deal with. And in a very strange way, what can your office do to reduce the challenges law enforcement faces while you're still remaining within the confines of your requirements under the law? because you're definitely not a police officer.
This is probably the question that you've got on this list that I kind of like the most. And it's mainly because our current sheriff, Gator Loach, and I have a great relationship. And recently we've had a number of conversations about several issues, and this being one of them. My plan is to work with law enforcement by providing them with some property-related data that they need in ongoing investigations. For instance, a lot of times when they get a call, and let's say it's out maybe in Hawthorne or out in a remote area, they need to know what the adjacent properties look like, as far as if they have an ag classification where there could be a number of buildings where a suspect could be hiding in. They need to know if there's fences that they have to go over, or if there's any other type of appurtenance that could be troublesome for them to make their investigation. We had a couple of conversations about that a couple of years ago while I was at the property appraiser's office doing review appraisals and doing ag classifications and ag reviews. One of the deputies came to me and they said, you know, we need a list of ag properties because when we go out, we need to know what we face. We gave it one time, but I'm not sure that we did a great job of making it available to them on an ongoing basis where it could help them as they go out. I don't want them to get hurt because they didn't know about these buildings or they didn't know about these fences or whatever on these sites that are adjacent to the place that they're going. Because as we know, a lot of times they have to, you know, go after a suspect that's run out of the yard, jump the fence, run in the woods. And so the more that we can help them as far as giving them data on properties, and if we can make it available where they could pull it up on their computer or on their phone, or they could see it right then in real time, I think that would be very vital for them. That would help them. And I think that's something we need to shoot for, because they, as we all know, they have a tough job and it's dangerous every time they get a call.
Okay, Tim, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, but based on his answer, did I totally misinterpret that question?
It's a wide open question. So you interpret it the way that you want. What I'm interested in is the broader problem of society, and how do we deal with the challenges that law enforcement faces. Freddie went one direction, but there are other directions one could go with the question responding to it. Does that help?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, that's helpful. So I'd like to read from an article in Social Forces, volume number 96, issue number 3 from 2018. Says, the increasing economic significance of residential real estate heightened the impetus to protect and spur property value through expanded policing, and that police expanded partly as a substitute for social service problems, spending as they were mobilized to govern a wider array of social problems. To understand the puzzling growth of policing in an era of low crime, we consider the shift toward an economy increasingly organized around residential real estate, housing market capitalism that began in the mid-1990s. And we examine the shift in governance away from social welfare spending that accelerated starting in the 1980s. The financially driven housing boom that ended in 2006 had far-reaching effects, and one, we suspect, was to generate new inducements for expanded law enforcement, even as other public services were neglected. In the 171 cities in our study, average social spending declined relative to overall expenditure between 1992 and 2010, but police spending grew faster than overall expenditure. We hypothesized that the increase in police spending and the decline in social spending were linked insofar as cities adopted more punitive approaches to social problems that had formerly been addressed through social service channels. To fill the gap left by stagnating welfare programs, city governments increasingly turned to police to provide social services. Governments at all levels addressed disorderliness, homelessness, drug use, domestic violence, and mental illness by mobilizing their criminal justice systems, not social work or healthcare systems. That's the end of that part of the article that I'd like to to spin off of a little bit from there. So the city of Palatka recently instituted a fire fee on essentially all property. This fee applies to all property, including those in the past that had typically been exempt from taxation, specifically churches. Now, those charitable organizations have to fund government, albeit at a 50% level, while at the same time trying to perform the same social services that they had previously performed. I oppose this fee. It would not place it on our notice of proposed taxes, as I believe that is not in the best interest of our citizens to have this established. I have published notices concerning the effects from calamities such as hurricanes. Fortunately, we were not affected by the most recent tropical storm. If we had been, the citizens of Putnam County would know about the calamity provisions in Florida statutes and how it could protect the value of their home if it were destroyed. Knowing about other functions of tax relief within county government as provided by state statutes allows individuals to not lose their home if they are unable to pay their taxes. The provisions are not favorable, however, if you can prove that you're unable to pay your taxes. You can defer them under certain conditions. You have to get with the Putnam County tax collector to go through that process. I have seen homes sold for back taxes because they could not pay their fire fee and the solid waste assessment, while normally being exempt otherwise because of the value being under $25,000.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to get a drink of water? Because the question comes back to you next. It was a good article that you picked up.
Thank you.
That you quoted from. The question, stagnant wages have created more challenges for families moving into or staying in the middle class. What, if anything, can your office do to help them individually or collectively?
Sure. For around the past 10 years, I've been attending food distribution events from around Putnam County, letting people know about exemptions that they're eligible for, saving those individuals combined over $25,000 per year. We also have a booth at the Putnam County Fair where we provide information to individuals, and that also saves them money. Sometimes it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. Helping people keep more of their money by making sure they are taking advantage of all the possible exemptions they are eligible for can help them stay or move into the middle class. Homeownership is a basic foundation for establishing the middle class. I have worked on several Habitat for Humanity homes and contribute monthly to them. I and my wife have both served on the board of directors for Habitat for Humanity. I cannot tell you how many individuals I have referred to Habitat to help them with home repairs on homes they already own. Habitat, through the USDA, helps repair them. I have been the chairman of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, the SHIP committee, where we have helped people realize the dream of home ownership and have helped repair homes they already own. I have worked within local government and shown them that the tax increment funding program works. Homes within the tax increment fund districts have experienced greater valuation increases than other areas in the city of Palatka. Educating individuals on the benefits of the programs is something that I personally and through my office have accomplished. These grants provide for the rehabilitation of homes, and the money does not have to be paid back if you live there for 3 years. I would like to learn more about Envision Centers. There are 2 in close proximity to Palatka, one in Jacksonville and one in Orlando. If you Google Envision Center Jacksonville, you will see a link to a CBS 47 report on one. That report in part reads, Envision Centers will provide communities with a centralized hub to support the following 4 pillars: economic empowerment, educational advancement, health and wellness, and character and leadership. The economic empowerment pillar is designed to improve the economic sustainability of individuals residing in HUD-assisted housing by empowering them with opportunities to improve their economic outlook. The education pillar seeks to bring educational opportunities directly to HUD-assisted housing and includes partnering with public and private organizations that approach education in non-traditional ways on non-traditional platforms. The health and wellness pillar is designed to improve access to health outcomes by individuals and families living in HUD-assisted housing. The character and leadership pillar is designed to enable all individuals and families residing in HUD-assisted housing, especially young people, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens by encouraging participation in volunteer and mentoring opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Freddie, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, sir. I need to so I can remember what it was.
Yeah, that's it. I fully understand that. That's why I have it written in front of me. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Stagnant wages have created more challenges to families moving into or staying in the middle class. What, if anything, could your office do to help them individually or collectively?
Well, that's a problem not only at the property appraiser's office, but at other county jobs that we have. We're one of those counties that when I go to conferences, when I go to different meetings that I have around the North Florida area, we get hit that we're the third poorest county in the state, which kind of offends me. I chose to move here because I think we have the most beautiful part of St. Johns River that exists. And like I said previously, I took a pay cut to move here, so I understand that part, that we're not at the level of some other counties that we should be at. To that end, I think we have to work harder and we have to really recognize that the people in this county have for years, and through no fault of their own, worked for a lesser wage. But we have to work collectively, not only at the property appraiser's office, which I think we need to really do a better job of, but countywide, we have to work to better pay these people so that, number one, they can buy a house that's bigger and they can move up. Once they are making more money, they can buy a little bit bigger house, which is going to increase the tax roll. Hopefully they're going to sell this to their other house to somebody that's trying to move up, or a young couple that are just getting married. But my personal opinion is we have not worked hard enough as a county and as the property appraiser's office to attract people with the pay scale. Our pay scale has been lower. We have to work harder to get it higher. And to that end, one of the reasons when Gator was running 4 years ago, his platform was, I have to pay these people because their deputies keep going to St. Johns County. Still do, and they're going to. We're fortunate at the property appraiser's office that we haven't lost anybody to an adjacent county, except for one. We had a guy move back to Ocala, where he was from. But we've been lucky. We've been fortunate. It won't continue because, like I said, I've got three sons that are in their 30s, that they're striving for better pay, better advancement. They want that bigger house. They want that house with a pool. And they want to be that group that are in the higher skilled and the more expensive employees. If you're leading these more skilled and more experienced employees with integrity and a strong sense of equity in carrying their work, that means if you're paying them more, they're going to have more equity position in that job. They're not going to want to leave. That would lead to a higher property values and higher economic development, because they're going to move up and want to buy something bigger in the county. They're going to be prouder. That person that's not living on the river is going to live on the river. Buy something with a little more tax space. But we haven't done it. We have not worked hard enough at it. And my feeling is that's one of the faults of the property appraiser's office now, and we need it fixed. That's why I'm running.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that completes the questions I had. We're going to move to a summary statement in just a minute, but we did have a request in. Tim, this is for you. A person has asked for the reference from where you quoted concerning police spending and social services. Could you repeat that reference again?
Sure, let's pull it up here. Which question was that? Was that number 4?
That was number
Yeah.
4.
So
Number 4.
is a publication called Social Forces, Volume 96, Issue 3 from 2018.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And do you know how to use chat on Zoom, Tim?
I'm sorry.
Do you know how to use the chat function on Zoom?
I believe so.
Okay. If at the very end, after the concluding remarks, if you could type that in, then we can send that around to people.
Okay, sure.
Yep. All right. And now we're moving into the summary. And Freddie, it's your turn to go first. And this is kind of wide open in terms of closing remarks you want to make and what you want to remind voters of, besides making sure they vote.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely want them to vote. In closing, one of the things that I'm not a politician. I've never been one. Never really desired to run for any office. But after a lot of prayer, because I believe God guides my every path and sits on one shoulder and He fights the devil on the other. And I had a lot of people come to me and say, Freddie, you know, you've seen some things that need to be fixed, and it's not totally broken, but I guess due to my athletic background, we can always be better. So that being said, I've been appraising for 45 years. I'd challenge anybody around this area to top that as far as experience doing the job. I've appraised every type of building, including golf courses. I inspected every hole at the TPC at Sawgrass. So, I mean, that in itself is something that very few people get the privilege to do. I've worked for a longstanding property appraiser in Sharon Outland in St. Augustine, where I got to learn and see how she did her budget, how she took care of her employees. In the 11 years I was there was never a year I didn't get a raise. Never. As evidenced by when I came here, I took a $12,000 pay cut to do it. But I was willing to because I love Palatka. I love the people here. I've been coming here since 1964. My mom and dad had a place down at Hermit's Cove. I spent weekends, summers, and it got to be where they ended up moving over here from St. Augustine. They lived here for the last 35 years. And so Susan and I got a little place at Creekside. We thought we were just going to be weekend warriors, and found that we would come over on the weekend and stay till Thursday, go back home Friday and come back Friday night. So we had more friends in Putnam County than we did in St. John's. So we are invested here. We chose to be here. We didn't move here for jobs. We moved here because we love it and we want to be here. That being said, I want it to be clear that I didn't move here to run for property appraiser. I moved here to work 6 or 8 years, retire, go play with my grandsons in Tampa. But after working there, I saw some anguish on some of the employees' faces. I saw some things that we needed to fix. And I'm a term limit guy. I believe that you should go, and I don't believe you should homestead an office. I don't believe that's what the exemption is designed for. Current property appraiser's been in there 12 years. We elect him again, he's been there 16. That would mean he would be there longer than we give a president or a governor. And I just find a huge issue with that. So I feel like complacency is kind of set in, and that we need to make a change. If you look at some of my signs, it says vote for change. Vote August 18th. I'm the most experienced candidate. I have the qualifications to do the job. And that being said, that doesn't mean I have a college degree. I'm a veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran that has been in the trenches. So I know how to do the job. I know how to do budgets. I know how to make sure that my employees want to come to work every day. It has to be a great environment. And so you can vote now. Early voting just started, August 4th to the 13th. And I want all parties to vote. Democrats, I want your vote. Believe me, we need them all. But main thing is we need people to vote. In the years past, we've had a poor turnout, and we need you to get out and vote. And when you're going on that ballot, first name on the property appraiser ballot is Freddy Garrett. Vote for change by August 18th. thank you very much for having me on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Freddie. And the person who requested the information for the reference, Tim has typed it into the chat box, so you can copy that down. Okay, Tim, for your closing remarks.
Sure. So there is no reason to change the leadership of our office. This office is a highly specialized area within state government. The stakes are too high. Most citizens do not even really realize what truly is at stake. Certain provisions within Florida statutes make it nearly impossible to recoup value when an error in judgment is made. This office is a constitutional office. It's not a branch of county government. I've literally passed every test that has been put before me. I have never lost a hearing at our Value Adjustment Board, but that's not to say that when a taxpayer makes a legitimate and supported argument that I will not listen. I firmly believe that everyone needs to be treated fairly. There is, in my opinion, no reason to change the leadership of this office. I've spent the last 20 years in the office doing my best to show that my main priority is your best interest. The person that has the experience, education, and qualifications to best represent you should be your choice for property appraiser. A number of years ago, I committed to the following areas. I committed to remain state certified to honestly and fairly appraise your property, to never forget that I am your public servant, to improve access to our office and information, to continually inform you on property issues, and to remain involved in our community. You can find me on Facebook at Reelect Tim Parker for Property Appraiser, or by email, votetimparker@yahoo.com, or you can call me at 386-326-0866. You can call me at 329-0286 at my office too if there's something that you need to speak with me on a professional level. I am Tim Parker, Putnam County Property Appraiser, and I'm asking for your vote on or before August the 18th in the primary election, no matter what party you are. Thank you for your time to learn a little bit more about me, and God bless.
All right, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Freddie. It's been a very informative and I found enjoyable hour. Quite frankly, I've got other questions that come up, but it's not appropriate for the forum. They're more how-tos rather than who can do the best job. But I thank both of you. You've presented a very good case for yourself, and Putnam County is going to be okay. Okay, I thank you very, very much. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now, and if you